What's up, guys? Back at it again today. However, this time with the good old 280ZX. I think it's been about a year and a half since I uploaded a video of doing work on this car and or driving it. I mean, main reason being is because it really hasn't needed much at all. It's been super solid. What can I say? So today what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be installing a aftermarket rev limiter on this car. And the one I'm going to be using is the Speedmaster ProComp spark cut rev limiter. This is pretty much the simplest form of a rev limiting device you can get. It runs off your ignition coil. It requires no modification to the wiring or anything. It's just kind of plug in and play, and it's fully adjustable from nothing to 9,500 RPM. So I'm going to show you how I'm going to do this. Reason being is my Z is an open diff, as most old cars are, and a few times when I've kind of dumped the clutch on slight turns or just in a straight line when there's less traction, I'll do a one-wheel peel and the tack will just absolutely pin itself, which is not good. The harmonic balancers on these Z's do not like high RPMs and are known to snap loose. So in fear of that happening, I just went out, spent 70 bucks and got this. So basically, without further ado, I'm going to show you how to install it. So this kind of spark cut rev limiter will work on literally any car that has a single coil type ignition system. So it won't work on any coil on plug cars. So most cars that are OBD1 and up, I know some cars that had OBD1 still have like a single coil with a distributor, but pretty much having this on your car is a surefire way of knowing that this will work. And literally all you need to install it are some wire crimpers, because these ends here, you will need to install your own connectors, unless you just jam them right in, which I don't recommend because they can come loose. So wire crimpers and a crescent wrench to loosen the terminals on your coil. And that is literally it. So as you see here in the instructions, it can work with quite a few different coil designs, depending upon what kind of car you have. The one on the bottom applies to me. In this case, I'll be following the bottom diagram since I have the applied coil. Now I'm going to demonstrate this. So first, what I want to do before I start wiring everything up is I kind of want to decide where I want to mount this thing. So as you can see, I have, I want to say, almost 4 feet of wiring. So I don't want to end up with too much wiring, nor do I want to end up with too little. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of find a spot around the engine bay where it's kind of discreet to put this. And depending upon how much space I have between the spot to the coil, I'm going to cut the wires to size. Alright, so I've gone ahead and chosen where I'm going to mount it. It's kind of hard to see, but it's going to be on the frame rail right below the coil and next to the air conditioning compressor. It's real low key. It's a nice flat area away from a lot of heat. I was initially thinking of mounting it back here somewhere, but the exhaust is right there. So I've already kind of sized it up. It's going to fit perfectly. So I'm going to grab is some double-sided tape, although you can drill it in. That's kind of how it was intended to be drilled in to the body, but screw that. I'm going with double-sided tape because I really don't want to drill holes in my Z. I'll stick it on there, let the tape kind of settle, and then cut the wires to size. Alright, it's in there, and it is definitely on there. It's not moving. So now I know how much wire I need, which is not that much at all. And now that I do, I can cut it to size and start connecting them. Here. Yep, got quite a bit left over, about 2 feet. Now I'm going to go ahead and start putting connectors on these wires. Okay, all these signal connections are on, and now we just basically ground anywhere. The bracket for my airflow meter is right here, so that's where I'm going to ground that. Of course, I'm going to probably want to clean the area first to make sure it gets a solid ground, because it is dirty. But once I do, we are set. So now that we have all of our power and signal wires connected, the last part is the ground. Now this just connects anywhere to steel on the body. I'm going to choose the coil mount because it's right here and it's convenient. Okay, so we are officially all wired up. So, there's just one thing left that we need to do before we start it up, just to make sure we're squared away. Now, see on the instructions here that you need to cut a couple wires to get the accurate reading. So these cut loops that they're talking about are these two loops coming out of the harness right there. You see a blue and a red loop that kind of loop back into the module. So of course, if you have an 8-cylinder, leave them alone. If you have a 6-cylinder, cut the red loop. A 4-cylinder, cut the red and blue loop, and this will give you your accurate measurement. However, if you have something strange like a 3-cylinder Geo Metro Suzuki or a 5-cylinder Volkswagen, Audi, or Volvo, you still can use a rev limiter like this. It's just you'll have to go by the tachometer in the vehicle, as the dial will not exactly represent the physical RPM of the motor, but nonetheless, it will work. So since this is just a functionality test, I'm going to go ahead and make sure my rev limit is low, just so I can ensure it's working. It's a good thing I checked it because it was just at 8.5, so now I'm going to turn it down to a nice about 2500. 2500. And we're going to fire it up, make sure it does fire up. Plug your coil wire back in so you actually spark. Now let's start it up. Success. Okay, so now that everything's hooked up, one thing you will notice on certain cars, depending upon how the tachometer is set up, is if you go to the rev limiter, your tach will go all wacky, which is normal on this particular car because the tach signal runs directly off of the negative of the coil, which is being grounded out by the rev limiter. Some cars, they're on the distributor. Some cars, it's off the crank. But, you know, like I said, if you find that the tachometer's going all wacky, totally normal. It's just how your spark system is set up. Okay, so let's go do a couple of burnouts and a couple of slides and see how this thing works. Alright, so we out here down in Baja, the old proven grounds here on the US-Mexico border. And we're going to test out this limiter. So the first scenario is a one-wheel peel. It'll rev out really high, and the limiter should catch it before it has time to over-rev. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, it definitely kept it from over revving, so that's good. So that was the one wheel peel scenario, and yeah, it cut spark right before red line. That's exactly what it's supposed to do, and it did it. We'll try one more thing. Alright, well here's scenario number 2. If you get too excited and forget to shift for whatever reason, so we'll give that a shot. Working exactly how it should. Sweet. All right, and we're back. Let's shut it down, pop the hood, make sure nothing came loose. Okay. All of the wires seem pretty tight. The module has not fallen off of the car, so that's always good. And yeah, we've just proven that it works really well. It definitely does not allow you to over rev whatsoever. It catches it right at the point it goes over the limited RPM. So that is good. So all in all, I call this a success, and I think this is a great safety measure to use for an older car that doesn't have a rev limiter and an open diff, because chances are you do a few burnouts, you get a one-wheel peel, and you over-rev the engine, and as we all know, that doesn't always end too well. So yeah, if you guys like these types of videos, feel free to subscribe, and that'll do it for this one. So yeah, stay tuned for more updates on these cars. Thanks for watching.